Marina, thank you for helping us and the future students of Glenalga, telling us how you worked on your research project. Could you please introduce your research project and tell us how you've gone through?
Yeah, sure. So my topic is, are stem cell transplant the best way to treat patients with leukemia? So I started off with the proposal where I talked about the capabilities and my research processes and how I came up with the topic, and it was just like a brief sort of summary on how I did that. And then it was a reflection afterwards when I finished the whole project on how it sort of helped me go through everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. And over here I have just a brief timeline that just kept me on track to see where I was at, so I could sort of finish the project in time. But I ended up not really following it, just because certain, like for my primary sources, for example, interviews and scheduling a time was sort of difficult, so I had to work around that. And then the mind map, it's color-coded, so it was easy to see, and yeah, it was easy to understand and follow, I guess. I started off with my secondary sources so I can get like a background knowledge before I start my primary sources. So yeah, I looked at a few journals, articles, and also YouTube videos to help with the visuals. Yeah, made it easy to understand.
So what's your gist? What's the gist of your research?
The gist of my research is trying to find out if stem cell transplants is sort of the best way, except it sort of depends on a number of different factors, like the patient's age and their general health.
So it's not a panacea?
No.
It's not for everybody?
Yeah, it's not for everybody. In the end, I found that out in the outcome. Yeah, so in my primary sources, I interviewed a professor from a university, and yeah, and I sort of reflected on what he talked about, and I made sure to keep, he wanted to be anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want to be named.
Mm-hmm.
And also had a second interview with a former patient, leukaemia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I talked to her about the ethical considerations and everything to make sure that she was okay with it. And the last 2 pages of my folio is the reflection on the challenges and the things I sort of thought I went well with, and how I refined my question. And the last page is the capabilities page, and I chose critical creative thinking and ethical understanding. There's a lot of ethics that come with this sort of topic because of stem cells, and also because of the interviews, especially the interview with the former leukemia sufferer. And with the critical creative thinking, I had to find credible sources yeah, there were a lot of sources, so it was hard to find something that was actually really reliable and was up to date with everything. And yeah, that's my folio.
Mm-hmm. Great. And you compiled everything in?
Yeah, in a sort of report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I first talked about my topic, just a brief summary, and I moved on to talking about the 2 different types of transplants the patients can go under, before talking about the different levels of leukemia, so how far the patient was in, I guess, or how sick they were. Yeah, and there was diagrams and graphs to show how they go under the transplant and how many people, and the success rate, I guess. And then I talked about the different types of treatments available, and then I started talking about the stem cell transplants and how they can help a certain number of people, but not everyone. and it's a really long process to go through. So yeah, in conclusion, I sort of came up with that it depends on the person, I guess.
And you had that case of the boy who died, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, so he didn't make it through the transplants, so it has its risks and stuff.
So can you tell us what are these here, all these numbers, like 21, 23, 24, 22?
Okay, so those are the footnotes. Those are the information I got off from websites or books, interviews and everything like that, and so I had to reference them at the bottom.
So it's your evidence, that it's not your claims, but your substantiation.
Yeah, so
Yes.
yeah, just have to make sure that it's not entirely my work and I did get it from somewhere. And so the last page is the bibliography and the reference list, where the first part was primary research. It was just the 2 interviews. I didn't do a survey because it would be hard to survey people who don't really know about much about this topic. And then I went on with my secondary research resources.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.